Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm MK,
And I'm Courtney.
and Courtney, how are you?
Um, you know, it's another day. Another day. I didn't prepare what I was gonna say now, so I don't know how I am. But I am very sparkly
Yeah,
for those of you watching, because I got my new Ipsy bag. It's got
very
sparkly
nice.
eyeshadow and shiny lip gloss. So I'm trying to live the dream, trying to look
Yeah,
super
yeah,
fancy.
yeah.
And I'm trying to get a new fancy house. That's on the horizon, and I can talk about it on the podcast because it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
But so I'm apartment hunting. I'm here for a few more months, but I just want a little more space, and I don't really have a kitchen. For those of you who know what New York's like,
Yeah.
I have less space than that. So I just want like normal New York kitchen space so I can like
Yeah.
store food that I'm not
Yeah.
eating.
I
Um,
have I have both lived in New York and been to both of your places that you lived in New York, and I can guarantee that you have less kitchen than everywhere else I've been.
yeah, like I have like a dorm room size fridge. Like I don't have a kitchen. And
Yeah.
so I just want to like be able to like cook at home again now that I'm not working two jobs or like out two
Right.
jobs. Like I do other stuff, but it's all from home now. And so I just need to be able to like cook for myself. And I miss that. So I'm apartment hunting and I'm hoping for the best. And if you know anything available that is $2 a month, please let me know. Because
Um,
New York's expensive.
I mean, if you also know anything that you can get like for a mortgage of $2 a month, that would be great because Dan and I will be we have like vaguely talked about house shopping. We like occasionally just like scroll through Zillow for a little bit. We haven't actually officially started the process of house shopping. Mostly because I think it terrifies him. Um,
Mhm.
but also I
I'm
don't know
with him.
why. I don't know why, because his credit score is insane.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I hate moving. I do it every 3 years because I go insane if I don't move more often than it seems.
Yeah,
Proven track record.
yeah.
But it's awful and I hate it. And I
No,
don't want to move ever again.
I hate it too, and I just did it like a year ago, and it was like not a good time. Um, but this past 2 weeks, what I have learned more than anything is that more than I hate the idea of moving, I hate that Dan and I don't live in the same house.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, because we've talked about it on the podcast. It's the middle of a blizzard right now. And we also talked about the fact that he was sick all of our like school Christmas break. So like over the last
Mhm.
like 3 weeks, I've seen him for like maybe 20 hours, it feels like.
Yeah.
Because between the weather and illness and work, I'm like, I just wish that like I could just go home and like sit on the couch and then he would be there. Like I don't
Right.
like it.
Yeah. And thankfully that's not me. I just want to cook dinner. That's all.
I mean, and like, here's the thing, like, could I just move into his apartment when first get married and give us more time to look? Sure. My stuff will not be moving in with us, so then I'll still
No.
basically be living in two houses, just like with my primary residence being a different one, so it would be not a good idea.
Even more like complicated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even more difficult. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
then
Oh my God. I'm the
who
worst.
poor Doug, why would he want to live with us like the minute we get married?
Absolutely not. I would move out. I would, if I were Doug, I would move into your parents' house and let you move in to their apartment. And that's probably the best solution.
Probably. Maybe Doug, if you're listening to this podcast, that is something we could work out.
Yeah. Just put it down on the docket to discuss.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so I also don't really know what I'm talking about. Um, for those of you like my sister who really only listen to the sci-fi podcasts, I will reiterate what happened on last week's horror podcast for those of you who need to know. Today I broke everything and destroyed every file on my computer and lost all of our recorded episodes of the podcast. So
A real
we've
life
already
American Horror Story.
it was. We've already done this once, so apologies if we don't make any sense. Uh, just
I love you.
so you know. Um, I'm feeling very fine about it now, but about 10 hours ago I was not. So,
Yeah. I'm less
um,
dissociated than I was an hour ago.
yay!
So I'm
That's
coming back
good.
around.
It's good.
Because I ordered Panda Express. I'm really excited. So
Yeah. I also did just eat real food for the first time today. That was not no, actually for breakfast today I made peanut butter and jelly toast. And by that what I did is I made 2 pieces of toast. And on one piece of toast I put mascarpone cheese and homemade blackberry jam. And then on the other piece I used peanut butter cake filling.
You really undersold it before you started describing it. So I
That's why I said,
am
let me
very
clarify.
jealous.
It wasn't just peanut butter and jelly. It was the most beautiful
Yeah.
thing I've ever eaten.
Yeah. And like when I say I made a peanut butter and jelly toast for breakfast, I like it's just regular.
Yeah,
There's
no,
nothing exciting.
mine
And I
was
didn't toast it. So
no, mine was toast with that was fresh, locally baked Italian bread with homemade jam and the peanut butter cake filling that you will get to taste because it's going to be in one of the cupcakes at the wedding. So,
ugh, I love peanut butter. It's one of my favorite flavors.
yeah. So, but other than that, which I guess is not really real food because it's just bread and sugar.
No, that's breakfast.
Yeah, right. I wanted completely unrelated. So sorry, but talking about breakfast. I woke up at like 3 o'clock in the morning this morning and looked at my phone and had an email from the president of my college that I had a snow day in school. And then I got really sad because this is the first day of classes and like I was just like really stressed out because I didn't know that last night. So I had planned my whole day around thinking that I had to go to class tonight. And I also thought I imagined it because it was 3 o'clock in the morning. But when I was
Hate when that
up,
happens.
but when I was up at 3 o'clock in the morning thinking that I was making emails up, I also could not stop thinking about a bowl of cereal. I
And
didn't
you didn't
have,
have a bowl of cereal this morning?
well, I don't have any cereal in my house because I never have time to eat cereal before work.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I have cereal, no milk. I have milk at the office, no cereal. So I get it.
I have yogurt, but no granola, and milk, but no cereal.
See,
I have cereal at Dan's house, but I don't have mornings at Dan's house. So what is the point of my cereal
right.
being at Dan's house? I don't know.
I have cereal at the office. I do have mornings there, but I have no, I mean, I have milk at the office, but no cereal there.
No.
So it's
So,
fine. It's fine.
other than the fact that our lives are clearly so depressing that we get worked up about cereal and Chinese food, can you please give me a dose of spiritual guidance? Because I need it today.
Yes. Well, Uber Eats just messaged me and said, order Chick-fil-A today. You deserve it. I ordered Chick-fil-A like yesterday. So I don't deserve it today. I had it already. Let me go to my picture. Sorry, my phone was charging and now I have to like go hunt everything down.
Yeah, of course.
Do, do, do. Okay. Get weird together, get strange. Laugh so loudly that it keeps the neighbors up at night. Make big plans that seem impossible. Dream together, be different together. Let your misfit love shine on. Topher Kirby.
Love that.
I was like, I have one prepared. I just can't reach it.
Just not where I left it. It's fine.
Right, exactly.
I love it. I also love Stargate.
Me too.
This, not really this episode, but that's okay. The problem
I didn't
is,
mind it.
no, I didn't mind it, but I think we talked a little bit about this the first time we tried to record this episode. This episode had two very good, compelling stories in it, but because it had two fully good, compelling stories in it, neither one of them was fleshed out the
Mhm.
way I wanted it to be. And in a surprise to no one, only one of them will be continued.
We'll never talk about it again.
Never. Because that's Stargate for you. So this episode is Stargate SG-1, season 5, episode 4, The Fifth Man. It was rated 7.5 stars, and it came out on July 20th, 2001. We have the same number one song and the same number one book. The number one movie that day was Jurassic Park 3. Which is, in my opinion, the weakest of the Jurassic Park movies, but
Always. It's 2, 1, 3. That's the right order.
see, I don't know. I love one. I love
I
one.
just watched 2 so many times as a child. It's
Mm.
just like burned into my memory.
That's
I
fair.
loved it. I
That's
loved
fair.
1. 1's fine. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. But
Yeah.
it's like 2, 1, 3.
Yeah.
Like 3 is
Yeah.
really far away.
Yeah. To be fair, I think that the Jurassic World movies might be better than 3, which is saying something.
I might not be wrong
Yeah.
because those were also fun.
Those are also fun. They're not really as good. But Chris Pratt
Well, they're
is,
not really the same.
yeah. Chris Pratt is hot. The Jimmy Buffett cameo in the first one is my favorite moment of any movie ever, really. And I'm obsessed with the Velociraptors. So,
Yeah. It's just a good time to be had by all.
yeah.
Except people that die because they get eaten. But that's fine.
It's
That's
fine.
fine. That's not our problem.
Some days that does feel like it would be better than where I'm at.
Some days, you're not wrong.
On this day, the movie Spirited Away was released in Japan, not in the US, which throwback to our Thriller Thursday episode is why I remembered talking about Debate Chase. Oops.
Yeah, I've just started my Studio Ghibli discovery. I watched 1. We've talked about it. So this one's on the list for next year. And then I'll watch my Totoro friend, which is now what I'm going to call it forever, next year.
Yeah.
And then I'll watch this one the next year. So
I mean, you could just watch like more than one a year.
I don't know that it's on the horizon.
But then again, you could also have finished your Marvel rewatch by now, which you haven't.
Yeah, that's true. I'm on like I watched some last weekend. I'm on
I was gonna say you like
Iron Man 3.
I was like, you retweeted randomly about Iron Man 3 last week, and I just go, holy shit, she still hasn't finished her Marvel rewatch.
Look, I go through phases, dude. It depends on how I feel that day. I also got hardcore into like those just like different stuff. Like I was falling asleep to Jeopardy every night. Then I started falling asleep to Who's Line every night. And now I just keep watching the first episode of every show that's ever existed to go to sleep. Like I don't have any rhyme or reason.
I stopped watching TV to fall asleep because I know for the future that Dan cannot sleep with lights on. So I have to like prepare myself for the fact that that will not be an option for me anymore. So now I just fall asleep listening to podcasts.
That's fine, I guess. Oh, also, I meant to bring this up and I forgot. My website that I use for my Marvel Rewatch is broken. The whole website is broken. I found it. Huh?
What do you mean? Like the thing that tells you what to watch? Okay, but to be fair,
I had the link and it doesn't work.
To be fair, now that you're at Iron Man 3, you're in the Marvel, like you're in the Disney Marvel era enough that you could probably easily find it.
Well, I'm watching chronologically.
No, I know, but like I'm saying, like you're deep enough into the fact that Disney owns Marvel, so you can probably easily find the list elsewhere.
So this guy also made like a Prezi for it, which I haven't seen since college. And so I did like grab the last couple of screenshots. I'm actually much closer to the end than I thought.
Yeah.
Because I have watched the new stuff. So like I haven't watched the TV show Shield. I haven't watched like Shield. But like then there's And then the Off Kilter movies that have come out recently.
Okay.
But I'm pretty caught up otherwise, so I'm actually not that far behind.
Yeah. I I am not caught up. I'm still in 2020 on my YouTube rewatch.
That's
Like
much
my
farther than I thought you'd be.
yeah, and in podcasts, I'm in 2014.
Where you've
So,
been for 3 years now.
oh my God, there's so many fucking podcasts. But I'm at like November of 2014
Ooh, New
in
Year.
two of my podcasts, and then the rest of them I'm in like fall of 2015. So like I really am getting there. Pretty soon I will be in 2016, and that will be nice.
Ooh, that
I
is
know.
nice.
Yeah.
I'm
I
excited for
know.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. I also love that we cannot focus on anything.
Look, we did this one time. It's a random day. It was a bad day. And so
Yeah.
at this point, we're just trying to make it through. So we
The
have to
only
spice it
other
up a bit.
the other thing that happened on July 20th of 2001 was that the London Stock Exchange went public, which since neither of us really do stocks does not matter
Because we
at
have no
all.
money. And you
Correct.
have to have money for that.
Very true.
Or so I
So,
hear.
so right. They keep telling me that. Um, I know someone who bought a Lululemon stock when it was only worth like $100.
Are they millionaires now?
Well, I mean, not because of that stock, but pretty close to just in real life anyway. It's my dad's boss. The one who takes us to all the concerts and the football games and all those things. So like
That makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
But so this episode was directed by Peter DeLuise, written by Joseph Malozzi and Paul Mully, and edited by Brad Rines, so no one new there. And our guest star is, in fact, not even really new because we talked about him a little bit last week. Because we are talking today about John Delancey, who plays Colonel Simmons. He was known for Crank High Voltage, Reign Over Me, and Pathology. Those are the three highest things on his IMDb, but let's be real, people like me only know him because he played Q in Star Trek. Um, he is also really good friends with Richard Dean Anderson, and he's also really good friends with Jonathan Frakes, who is a big name in the Star Trek world as well. He is one of only 30 actors to appear in both Doctor Who and Star Trek. Although to clarify, that is like the Doctor Who universe as a whole, because Dan got like really upset. He was like, "Who was Q in Star Trek?" I go, who was Q in Doctor Who? I go, he played a recurring character in season 3 of Torchwood. He goes, "Oh, so like not actually Doctor Who."
Oh, I did love Torchwood though.
I was like, shut up. So, but he, I don't remember what else I was gonna say. Oh, he has two kids. They both acted a little bit as kids in Star Trek things, but not really since then. Um, he has some weird like music podcast thing about Star Trek with Jonathan Frakes. He's a very interesting person. Everyone I know who has ever seen him at a Comic-Con enjoyed him a lot. So yeah. They did not obviously meet Colonel Simmons. They met the actual John Delancey because there's nothing to enjoy about Colonel Simmons, but
Yes.
we shall get
He
into
sucks.
that. He does suck. We start this episode with the team taking some heavy fire and trying to get back to the gate. And Sam, Teal'c, and Daniel are closer to the gate. Jack is farther back with another guy, and Jack tells Sam to go back and get reinforcements because he can't leave Lieutenant Tyler behind. But the man who's with him, Lieutenant Tyler, he is very injured. And so they go back through the gate and they report to Hammond, and they're like, "Hey, listen, Jack's still back there. Lieutenant Tyler's injured. We need to send reinforcements. There's a shit ton of Jaffa over there. Things are got really bad." And Hammond is like, "Who?" And they're like, "Lieutenant Tyler, like you put him on SG-1, you trained him with us. This is our third mission with him." And Hammond's like, "I'm really sorry to tell you this, but that person does not exist."
Absolutely not.
And then we get the credits. Yeah.
What a way. What a
What
way
a
to
way.
start.
Then after the credits, we see the team still arguing with Hammond. They want to go back for Jack, and Hammond's like, y'all have lost your minds. Please go to the infirmary. And they're like, no, 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 no. And he's like, cool. And he forces them to go to the infirmary because they will not listen.
Which like is the correct choice. Like you're talking about
Yeah.
made up people. It's time. It's time
Yeah.
to go get checked out.
Back on the planet, Jack has carried the injured Tyler to a shelter over his back and like physically carried him and everything. And this was the first time where I was like, clearly Tyler's like not real. But
Right.
also like Tyler's also not just like a genuine hallucination because Jack's like physically exerting himself carrying him. So
Right.
you can't do that with a hallucination. So that's interesting. And Tyler is thanking Jack for coming back to him, and Jack's making like super awkward, like really weirdly self-deprecating jokes about himself and how he shouldn't be he says this is just me trying to deflect from my obvious heroism, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But back at base, Janet has run a bunch of tests and she's like, okay, Teal'c's burn is going to heal fine. Junior's on the job. We're good there. But also there's literally nothing wrong with any of them.
Yeah. They like seem so at this point, they should have been like, let's do a mental health consult since we've done a physical health consult and see what's going on. Sure didn't do that.
They did though, and they didn't like if you know what I mean, you know what I mean? Like they all have the same story. So it's hard to be like mental health test because it's like, what do you think
That's
happened?
true,
And all three of them have the same version of events that check out with each other.
try hypnotherapy.
Could I don't know. Is Janet really licensed in hypnotherapy?
No, that's why you need someone else to come in and
Okay.
do that. Yeah.
Because Hammond is like, no, but see, there has to be something wrong with them. I don't know if you know this, but they're not okay. And so he quarantines them and he says that the planet is off limits until they understand what's going on. No one is going back there because the last thing they need is everybody else to come back also imagining people.
Yeah.
And then we go to Sam, Daniel, and Teal'c, who are the most logical human beings and non-human beings ever.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, if Jack was in the room when this was happening, this would not be how this conversation went.
0%. That's why he had to be the one to be left behind. Like,
yeah. So they're like, okay, why does no one remember Tyler? What are the options for why this is happening if we all remember something and no one else does? And Daniel's like, okay, well, when I went to the mirror universe, nobody knew who I was because the Daniel Jackson in that universe didn't hold the same position that I did. So maybe we accidentally went to a mirror universe, and the mirror universe, Lieutenant Tyler isn't part of SGC. And they're like, okay, not a bad thought, but we've never seen the Stargate go into parallel universes. Like that's not a thing that it can do, at least that we are aware of. So
I bet it can though.
maybe.
I bet it's capable of anything.
But so they go, so we're not 100% ruling that one out, but probably not. And they go, okay, so there is the possibility that we're dealing with group amnesia and everyone on base doesn't remember this person. And they go, or third theory, there's something wrong with us and this person really doesn't exist. Which kudos to them for even entertaining that was a theory, because it's hard to be like, I am the crazy one.
Right. But also, like, it is like if you look at it, the most logical response because
Right.
like 75 people to like three, it's probably the three that are wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Even though those three are also the only ones that were there. And so it's like, but yeah,
Right.
so
But so they go,
logic
so they
wins.
go, Silk is like, well, if we're dealing with an issue of everyone on base having forgotten someone who does exist, we keep meticulous records on the base. If this person ever did exist, there will be a record of them. And Sam's like, oh my God, you're so right. That makes sense. So she pulls up the computer and she can't get in because apparently her current mental state means she is a security risk to the base, which,
Oh, it's smart.
yeah.
You know, there's no
And
way to know any different right now.
right. And Daniel, of course, gets very upset and is like, oh no, now we can't get in. Sam goes, I didn't say that.
No, just my credentials don't work. Just give me
Right.
mine.
Yeah. So she hacks in. And we find out two very important pieces of information when she's hacking into the base. And one is that, unfortunately, Lieutenant Tyler does not exist. There is no record of him anywhere. But
Not real.
more shockingly, someone outside of the base, also not using real credentials, has hacked into SGC just this week and has also searched for Lieutenant Tyler's existence, but additionally has made copies of all of SG-1's personnel files.
Which is just a little bit sketch.
Yeah. Um, in this moment, it feels very much like these two situations are connected. Sadly, they're not.
Yep. I know, but like, is that not like the best setup for it though?
Right.
At this point, I was like, so someone has hacked into SG-1. I'm assuming Simmons because we hate him.
Yeah.
I am assuming Simmons has hacked into SG-1, so has gotten all of their files, has used that information to get into their brains and make them seem crazy. And this universe, this planet that they're on, isn't even a real planet. Like it's like a fabricated one that he's had their brains believe. And so they have this whole story that doesn't make sense. And now he can be like, they're all crazy, they're all fired. Get rid of SG-1. And now I own Stargate Command.
Well, and Jack is separated for some reason because Jack is the biggest risk of them all. So that's interesting and fascinating.
Logic and
Yeah.
wrong. But
no, back on the planet with Jack, he gives Lieutenant Tyler a gun and goes to get water. And Lieutenant Tyler has no fucking idea how to hold a gun, what to do with a gun, what a gun is. And I'm not saying everyone who goes into the military goes into a heavy combat zone. But to be promoted to the rank of lieutenant, you have been trained to hold a weapon.
Right. But like, I think joining the military, you're probably trained to hold a weapon. Like, just like that's like a day 2 step. Maybe it's not day 1, but like day 2, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I was being generous.
Sure. Me too,
but
probably a day 1 thing. But
no, I don't think you get weapons for the initial process of boot camp. I think it's a lot more physical stuff before you have weapons.
I think it is too.
But either way, Lieutenant definitely knows how to hold a gun.
1,000,000%.
And Jack's like, I'll give you a signal on the radio when I'm coming back. Don't shoot me. And he's like, don't worry, I won't. But while Jack is leaving, the screen pans and we get a close-up on the C4 that say on them, proudly made in Tyler, Texas.
Which I totally missed the first go around, like watching this. I didn't miss that.
I probably missed it the first go around. More than likely. Also, I was 9, so that's fair. But I also
was not.
But I also, as you guys all know, I pause a lot while I'm taking notes of the show, and I do have a knack of pausing it on really important moments to get good screen captures on accident.
Yeah.
So I paused it right there and was like, oh, yes, perfect. Um, then we go back to SGC where Hammond is still looking for Jack, but unfortunately, all of the Melps that they've sent to the planet have been destroyed by the Jaffa. So they're sending a UAV to try to get a hold of Jack, and they do get him on the radio. And he's like, yeah, I can't come back yet. I need reinforcements. Tyler's still hurt. Then the UAV immediately gets destroyed.
Right.
So Hammond is talking to Walter, and he's like, I don't know what to do. We clearly cannot send reinforcements. Whatever has happened to the other three has also happened to him. It's not safe. This is not a good sign. And Walter's like, well, we could try sending another UAV. And then a voice from the shadows goes, or you could just not because they're expensive. And unfortunately, it is our new least favorite person, Colonel Simmons. Now, in just the 2 episodes that we've seen him, where does he rank against Kinsey and Mayborn in terms of how much you hate him?
Okay. So Kinsey is like tops.
Fair.
I think he has more power than the rest of them. And he's better at manipulating everyone. Simmons is not doing so great at that. I still hate him, but he's not as good at it as he wants to be. So
Yeah.
Mayborn is the one. I always get Mayborn and Makepeace mixed up because they have basically the same name. Mayborn is the one that went to Jamaica.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's way lower. I don't even like hate him anymore. Like I don't
That's
love
true.
him.
I don't love him either, but after the episode
like,
where he like joins forces and like Hannibal Lecters
Yeah.
himself out of prison with Jack, it's hard to hate him.
Yeah, so he's like way below.
Yeah.
I'd say like Makepeace might be a close, but it's the same thing. Like Makepeace like was a little bit better at being manipulative, but not very long at all. So like him
Yeah,
and,
but Makepeace is also his thing was that he was following Mayborn's orders and like he was just not good
Yeah.
at what he was doing and he got caught.
Yeah.
So like he kind of sucks, but like you almost feel like it wasn't his fault. And Mayborn, the more you get to know him, you realize that like he just doesn't have a very strong moral compass. He's not really a bad guy. He's
Yeah.
just like not afraid to do shady things to get places. Kinsey absolutely sucks. And Simmons is definitely feeling much more Kinsey than Mayborn in terms of how shitty he is.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. But Kinsey's still my least favorite so far because he's like trying to be like president and whatnot. So
yeah, totally valid. Simmons is like, I'm here to investigate the team because clearly this is not working. You need an external investigation. Whatever.
False.
And then he goes to interview Daniel, and he's just like extra saucy for absolutely no reason. We take a quick hop down to the lab where the results have come back totally clean. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them on any version of a scam that they could have possibly run. But Janet finds some residue on Teal'c's jacket that she does not know what it is. And so she wants that analyzed to see if there's something chemical going on that they don't know what it is. And after she looks at and like touches the residue in this plastic, she turns around and she sees Lieutenant Tyler walking past her.
Yep. So
that's a good sign.
Still doesn't discount my initial theory that, Simmons came in and did something to all of them because he could have clearly added this chemical.
Yeah.
So my theory at this point still stands strong.
So Simmons is questioning Daniel. And he's being particularly dickish. And he's asking all these questions about Lieutenant Tyler. And he's like showing video feed from their briefing and being like, look, Tyler's not there. And Daniel's like, you could have manipulated the timestamp. Like you're just showing me things that have nothing to do with anything. And then Simmons just immediately goes, you know what I'm more worried about than Lieutenant Tyler? What is your relationship with Dr. Sarah Gardner? And Daniel's
What does that even matter? Simmons,
But
stop.
Daniel's like, why? What does this have to do with anything? And Simmons is like, well, your ex-girlfriend was taken over by a Goa'uld. That makes you more susceptible to alien control. And I had two very different feelings in this moment. The one feeling was, you're a dick, leave Daniel alone. He's a precious baby angel.
Right.
My other feeling was, if you think that's what makes Daniel susceptible to aliens, you have been gone the whole last 5 seasons because this
Yeah.
man will do anything for an alien.
Absolutely. And also, like, at this point, like, him and Sarah aren't like on bestie terms. So,
Yeah.
like, it's not going to be her that converts him.
No. Yeah, no.
So,
Daniel looks at alien cultures like Klondike bars. He will do anything. And he's screwed anyway. But Daniel is like, who the fuck are you again? Like, what exactly are you investigating and who sent you here? And Simmons is like, okay, we're done.
not shady at all.
No. And then we have the next scene that gives me cause for concern because I know the show is 23 years old, but um Janet goes to Sam and is like, "Hey, what does Lieutenant Tyler look like?" And she's like African American, mid-20s, and Janet's like, "Oh, is he like 5'10", 5'11"? She's like, "Yeah." She's like, "I think I've seen his face." I don't know if people know, but that's not a descriptor of someone's face, is their race, age, and height. Um, if you said, oh, there's a football player who's African American, mid-20s, and 5'11", who am I talking about? That's 3/4 of the NFL. Like, I don't know what
Yeah.
you want.
Yeah.
And
I don't know,
it's
maybe
not.
like 60%, because there's a lot of tall people in the
That's true. That's
NFL.
true. There's some that are much taller than that.
Yeah.
So, okay,
But
fair. But fair. But
but yeah. No, like, is there like a mole? Is there like a color of eyes?
like he's got prominent ears, his eyes are a certain color, he has a really strong jawline, he has an
Is his
eyebrow
nose crooked?
piercing. Right, like
So many
the
descriptors.
the unintentional racism that is just so uncomfortable.
Yeah. Because also, like, even if you didn't like mean it in that way, like, if that's the only black person you saw in SGC today and you were like, I saw a black person, it's got to be him because there are no more here, that's just as bad. So, not any
Right,
better.
right. In fact, unfortunately, the characters, though, not the only issue. Because the fans of the show are not much better.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a Reddit post the other day that was like, who is the one actor? He was an African American man, and I can't remember who he was, but he was in a couple episodes in like season 3 or 4, and I definitely have seen him in other things. That was the whole thing.
But you want a scene description? You want like a
Um,
literally anything that is 0% helpful.
um, which already not helpful. But someone very quickly was like, hey, this is who it is, because it was the one General Ladrine, the guy who was with them when they were flying the illegal gliders, who was the like general who came back to help Hammond before Teal got sucked into
Mm-hmm.
space. And he is a rather famous actor. So like someone immediately was like, I think this might be who you're talking about, based on the context of the being famous and the being in those 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And they
Which is
were
fair
like,
because a lot of the guests aren't super famous.
right. A lot of the
So
guests aren't
like,
super famous, and a lot of the characters don't have a continuous character arc. So like,
right.
in it wasn't the worst situation. But then the Reddit post continued with people just
Nice.
literally commenting every black guest star they could think of. And like someone was like, yeah, that's great. That was season 9. So not seasons 3 and 4. And also not even the same age range. So thank you for the racism there. And it was just like the whole post was like, oh, this is Janet in this episode.
No,
I hate
that's
it. I hate it
Jesus.
here.
Jesus. People, come on. Get it together. Get it together.
Yeah. But Sam's like, oh my God, so you believe us? And Janet's like, yeah, I'm gonna have to go tell Hammond now. And Sam's like, please don't. Because if you tell Hammond, then you'll also be locked up and we'll have nobody who can like actually investigate what the fuck is going on right now. So Janet, against her better judgment, decides to keep her mouth shut. All the while, Hammond also thinks everything that's going on is some bullshit. And he calls the president. He does not trust Simmons at all. He is making all kinds of phone calls. The president is in a
Call
meeting with
75 presidents.
the president is in a meeting with the Joint Chief of Staffs, so he calls every single number that red phone reaches, basically.
Yeah.
But
Which
no
I
one,
thought it was only supposed to go to the president. I didn't realize that it was like you can connect to anyone with a red phone.
yeah, I guess it's just that anybody with a red phone can directly get to the president, which is not a thing most people can do.
I guess that's fair. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys. I can get to him probably.
I mean, remember, Mayborn did call the red phone from Jamaica.
Yeah, but it was like the president and his grandkids. And then Mayborn was just kind of like, Mayborn, that doesn't really count because he was already kind of being like spy-like. So, but when you get all these like 75 other people you can call, just surprising.
Maybe nobody else can call in, but he can call
Well,
out.
he called them though on their red phones, I imagine.
No, but I'm saying only the president and his grandchildren can call him, but he can use the phone like a
Oh,
phone to call out.
maybe so. Maybe so.
Yeah. But he doesn't really get 100% straight answer in his 75 phone calls that he makes.
No.
Back on the planet, Jack is trying to make small talk with Tyler, and it's like super awkward. He's like, "Hey, where are you from?" And he's like, "Texas," but we like moved around a lot. And Jack's like, "I'm from Minnesota," and Tyler's like, "Oh, what's that like?" Jack's like, "Let me tell you, it's the whole reason the gold want us."
No other reason. Just Minnesota.
Yeah.
Just Minnesota.
He's like, "I'll take you fishing." Teal'c loves it.
Yeah.
We know Teal'c does not love fishing. We've seen that. And he's like, "I need
He's
to get
not a
out of here."
fan.
And he's like, "I need to get out of here." And Jack's like, "No, it'll be fine. People will get here. We'll make it. We'll survive." Um, then we go back to SGC where we're at Simmons' next investigation, and this time he has pulled Teal'c for interrogation. And he's like, "How do we know that you can be trusted? You keep flip-flopping sides. You are easily swayed by other Goa'uld. We don't know that we can trust you. How do I even know you're on our side right now?" And Teal'c's like, "Because if you weren't, I'd be fucking murdering you."
Yeah. Which is honestly the proper response because
Yeah.
that would also be my response, and I'm not
Yeah.
even an alien.
Right. He's like, if I didn't care about SGC, you'd be dead right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then we go back to the planet, and Jack and Tyler are waking up because there is a glider flying above them. It's the next morning, and Jack shoots the glider down, but the Goa'uld the Jaffa are like all over that shit. And Tyler's like, they are never gonna stop hunting us. That's concerning.
Correct.
Then we go back to our next Simmons interview. And this time he's with Sam. And he is like clocking her for hacking into the main brain. He's like, "First of all, I don't think you can be trusted. You've done X, Y, and Z. Like a week ago, you harbored an alien. Like, you're terrible." And she was
Which,
like,
that's a fair
right.
assessment.
And
The rest, not so much, but
no. And he's like, "Yesterday you hacked into the SGC mainframe." And she goes, "Interesting that you know that. Because I know that there was another hacker. And somehow I think it's you."
could
And
be you, could be you.
and she's like, "I don't think you really have anything on us. I think you've been going through our files to try to find something on us. And he says, no more questions, Sarge.
Yeah.
Okay.
For someone who's meant to be interrogating, he is not very good at it. The
Oh,
moment he gets like pause, he's like, done, we're over.
yeah, no, he would make the worst lawyer.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like he might be a good legal assistant because he could like find shit for you to talk about. He could not be the one standing up in court.
I don't know, because if he found it illegally and like you can't use it, he would definitely get caught.
Oh, for sure.
So like
Yeah. Um, back and also let's be real, he wasn't the one who hacked it himself. He definitely had somebody do that for him.
oh, absolutely.
Um, Jack is setting up tripwires rigged with explosives and he's getting ready to like try to kill all these Jaffa. And Tyler freaks out and is like, I can't let you die protecting me. Then we have some back and forth quick. We go back to SGC and Janet thinks she has discovered the cause of the problem. She explains the chemicals that were on Teal'c's jacket and says that honestly, like Lieutenant Tyler doesn't even exist. He's an idea, and the whole idea of him and all of the memories of him were like a chemical implant. And she explains like how it works and what the thing on the MRI is. And they're like, I thought everybody's scans were clean. She was like, they were. This one is mine. So Simmons is like, well, you can't be trusted. You're also exposed. You could be lying. Everyone sucks. And Hammond is like, what is happening? And she was like, I had to, sir. Like, we had to do this.
Like, and that's like that's how like doctors and like scientists have done experiments. Like it's not always the most like legal way, but sometimes they'll test on themselves when they need another subject. And
yeah,
hers was accidental. So she was like, but since it happened, I may as well test it. Like
exactly.
so really she did the only right thing to do.
The only mistake she really made was not telling Hammond before she had results. And I think he can forgive her for that.
Absolutely.
So then on the planet, Lieutenant Tyler exposes himself to Jack and he tells him that he's actually part of a race called the Real and that he was a prisoner of the Goa'uld because he has this chemical that he can secrete that can make people believe anything he needs them to believe and see him how he wants to see them. And the Goa'uld want it and they want to dissect him and figure it out and use that power for themselves. And he had to convince Jack and the rest of the team that he was part of their team because he didn't know if they could be trusted, but he needed to escape.
Which would truly be the absolute worst technology for the Goa'uld to have.
Oh my God, yes, it would be terrible. The whole idea of convincing people that you're a god, but you actually like now have the chemical warfare ability to convince people of things and like implant memories. No, thank you.
Yeah. Human race wiped out. No questions.
Yeah. So then Jack, who gets to see what the Real actually looks like, is like, cool, fine, whatever, no big deal.
Still not letting you die.
Yeah, and single-handedly wipes out 15 Jaffa.
Sure, why not? Sure.
And then he's about to get taken down, and when the team returns and gets everybody, and Teal'c is ready to shoot Tyler because he's like, I know this guy's not real. What is happening? And Jack's like, nope, one step ahead of you. Already know. Let me explain on the way. So Jack basically fills in the rest of the team on Tyler and the Real. And Tyler tells Jack that they already have a plan. They've started a new colony on a different planet that, and as soon as he gets back, they're going to bury their gate so the Goa'uld can't get to them. And they are like, they've got it set. But suddenly they hear extra voices and there's like a boatload of more Jaffa, like a crazy, crazy amount. And Tyler is like, let me just surrender. Let you guys get out of here. You've already done so much for me. Like, I don't need you to die protecting me. And Jack's like, it's not entirely about you. Like, yes, we want to protect you, but also the last thing anybody needs is the Goa'uld having the power to do what it is that you do. So, yeah, no, we'll take care of it. We got this. But we are going to need some more firepower. So it's like, okay, so Daniel, you stay here. Tyler, you get Azat. You guys like cover yourselves, protect yourselves as best you can. try not to get shot. We're gonna go back to the downed glider and get some more weapons. And Tyler,
And why would you leave the one non-military person to watch over like the like most important weapon? Like at this point, he's like Tyler's kind of weapon. So like I would not have left Daniel. Like not no shade to Daniel, but
I agree, but also I don't know that any of them would have really been able to stop Tyler with what he
well they
planned to
wouldn't
do.
have, but I would have probably left like Till because
Yeah.
he's, the most effective and he's like if he's left by
Yeah,
himself and has no help, he's the
but
best one to protect himself.
Teal'c is also the most capable of dismantling the glider for weapons.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Um, so while they're back at the glider, Tyler tells Daniel, he's like, thank Jack for everything that he's done. You guys do not need to die because of me, and zats him.
Peace out.
Peace out. Um, we quickly go back to SGC where Hammond comes in to see Simmons, and Simmons is basically like, I will see you fired. I will do this. You are an emotionally unstable ruler. You don't get to be in charge of these people. You make bad decisions. And at first, Hammond tries to be like nice. He's like, listen. He like tries to talk to him like military to military. He's like, I know who your orders are coming from. I know that they're politically motivated, but I also know that I have better connections than you and that things change and orders change and you're gonna get yourself in trouble. Like stand down and like don't make a mistake. And Simmons is like, no,
And
I
I think he
will.
should have been a little more threatening than he was. He was threatening, but I wanted him like to fire him right there.
Well, and he said he was like, I will have your job. And Hammond is basically like, come at me, bro.
Bring it on. Yeah.
Um, so that's not gonna work out well for anyone. Um, but then we go back to the other planet, and the Master SG-1 has gotten back to Daniel, and they're like, "Oh my God, what happened?" He's like, "I don't know. I didn't have quite time to ask him while I was being unconscious. I'm so
Knocked out.
sorry."
Yeah.
But they see Tyler attacking the Jaffa to like draw them away from the gate. And Daniel's like, "Well, there's only like 3 Jaffa left at the gate. We could kill them and get away now." But of course they don't because it's SG-1. And instead they stay behind, they ambush the Jaffa, they kill everyone. We have a great action scene. In this great action scene, my Dan, got very upset because he said, wow, Teal'c has really terrible aim. He didn't hit anyone. And I said, Dan, this was the 90s. You didn't hit people with cannons. You shot behind them so that they could jump dramatically. That's how people died on TV. What are you talking about?
That's the only way to do it. We didn't start hitting our aim until like 2003. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Listen, from 1991 until 2002, if you wanted to kill somebody, you had to create an explosion behind them for them to jump away from. Did you
Yeah.
never watch Power Rangers?
No. Clearly. Clearly.
Um, But they kill everyone. It's all great. Tyler goes back to his people, and Jack is like, "Well, before you go, just remember, like, not everybody's going to be like the Goa'uld. Like, we could be allies. You might not want to bury your gate. Like, there might be a chance to help you and like with your people." And Tyler, whose real name is like Kaya,
You nailed
it's
it. That's perfect.
it was perfect. It was something like that, and they all just said, "No, thank you. I'm not saying that." Um, he was like, "I will tell them about SG-1. I can't make any promises though, because it's not my decision to make, but I will let them know what happened here and what you guys did for me, and then maybe one day you can take me fishing." And it's all beautiful.
Very sweet.
Um,
He's gonna hate fishing though.
he's gonna what?
Hate fishing.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but maybe he'll like use his powers to make Jack think he likes fishing.
Oh God, that would be so convenient.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Or maybe he'll like help Teal'c and Sam by making Jack think that Jack doesn't like fishing anymore.
Oh, that's devastating. That's so
That would be devastating. It would be
like
devastating.
what else is Jack gonna do? he would quit SG-1
He would quit.
because
He
there's
would
no
quit
joy in life.
life. We don't
Yeah.
want
Oh, that
that.
no, no.
No.
It's
Um,
easier to convince Sam and Toke to like
like
fishing.
fishing. That's true. Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that better. Um, but I only have one piece of trivia for this episode. And that is that there was supposed to be another scene toward the end of the episode where on their way back to the Stargate, you saw Jack walking over the fields of dead Jaffa that they killed. And Peter DeLuise was like, that might be a bit much. And it kind of takes away from the like serendipity, happy bow on it
Yeah.
moment that is the end of the
That's
episode. So
fair.
they cut that scene. But despite cutting that scene, this episode does have the most on-screen deaths of any episode of the show. Because in both of the Jaffa fighting scenes, there's like 3 solid minutes of just shooting people. It's like the
Which
most
means
action.
it's going to be happier endings in every episode, less deaths.
At least less multitudes of deaths at once. Yeah.
Sure.
I didn't say this is all of the death for the show. That would be
Only happy endings, no death for the rest of Stargate, all 17 seasons.
Yep, absolutely. Who who is do you want to punch in the face? That's the one we do first.
Stupid Simmons. I hate
Fair
him.
enough. Yeah, that is absolutely the correct answer. I find it very hard to pick anyone other than Simmons for this episode. But I suppose I'm going to pick Janet just for the unintentional racism.
That's fair.
Yeah, because
Good
no one
reason.
else actually did anything like punchable in this
Right.
episode. And like, I'm not mad at her. I don't want to kill her. I just want to give her like, you can't say that.
A love tap to
Yeah,
remind her that she can't do things like that.
right. Who is your MVP?
Well, my MVP is Jack because
Okay.
everyone's like great, everyone's fine.
Yep.
But he just kind of like stood strong and he like believed in his team the whole time. He was like, they're gonna come back, we're gonna be fine. And
Mm-hmm.
then even when Tyler was like, I'm not a real person, and let me show you who I am, he's like, I know you're not a real person, but you've stood by me, and sure, you maybe
Yeah.
tried to convince me otherwise, but in the end, we have the same goal, and you
Huh.
haven't done anything to hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to keep protecting you. And his friendship with aliens has been beneficial in the past. So
Always. I am going to pick General Hammond because he does not take shit from people.
good for
So
him. Yeah.
yeah. Um, we talked about the fact that not both of these stories will continue in the future.
Yeah.
Um, it's actually really obvious in the story which one of those two is going to be the one that
Yeah.
continues. It's not really
The one that's
it's not,
already kind of started.
right. It's not really a spoiler because if you had to pick one of those two to continue, the alien that says they'll contact SG-1 as they walk through the gate never to be seen again, or the
Yeah.
shitty senator, like the shitty Washington suit trying to destroy the Stargate program. Which one of these historically is likely to continue?
The alien episode line.
Absolutely, 100%. But speaking of the alien, what? Sorry, my mom just texted me. Just woohoo.
She's excited about this storyline.
Apparently, what on earth? Literally no idea what that's about. I'm going to have to talk to her after we hang up. That's so strange. I don't know what that is. Anyway, um, But I don't remember everything that we said in the last episode when the last time we tried to make this, but I do remember one thing that I specifically asked of our fans, and that is if someone could please make a GIF of the rail running in the one time that you actually see it as an alien. If you could make a GIF of it running, I would really, really appreciate that. And you can send that and any other thoughts, theories, and ideas that you have to our email at deathandaliens@gmail.com. The one mini spoiler for next week's episode is not really a spoiler in that I'm not the one who spoiled it for Courtney, because next week's episode
Amazon Bezos.
next week's episode is about the Asgardians, which if you looked at Amazon at all, because the thumbnail for next week's episode is an Asgardian alien. So that's what it is. But if you have things to share, you can email us or you can follow us on any of the social media at deathandaliens@gmail.com. No, the social media doesn't have the at gmail.com. That would be weird. The social media is just Death and Aliens. I personally am at EMKAY_superstar.
Oh, I am. I was waiting for you to re-give them the email and the social media.
No, I did. I did
And
that,
then
just not in a very coherent way.
Yeah, it's okay. And you can find me at CECloud13.
And we will attempt to be less unhinged next week. Not on Thursday. We will be unhinged on Thursday, but next Sunday, we might be more sensible. No guarantees. Bye.